This is the Louie Tee Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome to Lockdown Coverage Week number 12 in the National Football League. San Diego Superchargers taking on the Houston Texans. Things starting to get a little dicey for the Texans as Titans win, Texans loss would put both of these teams at 6-6. And I know the Indianapolis Colts haven't been impressive this season, but at 5-7, no one's out of that AFC South race just yet. So this is a big one at home. That's the one place the Texans have been comfortable this season, at home. As for the Chargers, coming into this game at 4-6, this was a must-win game for them. And again, I've already declared their season over, but nothing's out of the realm of possibility. But you're going to have to win just about every game down the stretch to give yourself a chance if you're the San Diego Chargers. And it starts here on the road against a team that was undefeated coming into this game at home on the season. So I'm going to break this game down here in a second. But first, I'm going to quickly get everyone on board with the Louie Tee Network. Subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content 2016 and beyond. I'm also on Twitter at In The Lab Room. Go ahead and follow me there. And I'm also on Facebook. Facebook is In The Lab Room. That's the page. Give me the thumbs up. All my social media platforms are up above, scrolling across the screen so you can't miss them. Make sure you subscribe to the Louie Tee Network. Follow me on Twitter at In The Lab Room and like the Facebook page In The Lab Room. That being said, let's jump into this breakdown. Likes, dislikes, banana in the tailpipe. You know we start with the road team, that being the San Diego Chargers in this game, and we'll start with their first half likes. And we start with Dontrell Inman's deep ball for a touchdown, 52 yards, knocks the game up at 7. Beautiful double move by Inman to get the safety, Quentin Demps, to bite on that double move. He hooks it up, and then he goes, and that stutter and go got Demps to bite down on it, and wide open was Inman, and he catches the football on a beautifully delivered football from Phillip Rivers to knock the game up at 7 apiece. Casey Hayward with his NFL leading 6th interception. He's been outstanding for the Chargers this year, coming over from Green Bay in free agency. One of their best signings of the offseason. Hayward has been everything they could ask for and then some. With a nice play on the sidelines, Osweiler throws the football after he escapes, and it was a beautiful escape by Osweiler to get outside the pocket, but needed to put that football more towards the sidelines and not inside. Anytime you make a mistake towards the sidelines, inside, you're asking for trouble, and that he found with Casey Hayward picking it off. A beautiful play to get both feet in bounds as well. That led to a Tyrell Williams touchdown. So San Diego Chargers creating turnovers, capitalizing there with that touchdown to Tyrell Williams to give them the 14-7 lead at that point in the game. So defense making some plays, offense taking advantage of those plays, and so the Chargers take the lead at 14-7 at that point. You go to the Texas first half likes. The deep ball to Will Fuller. They've been missing that element offensively with Fuller being injured for a good portion of the season. He's back now, and you can see what happens. Great cadence by Brock Osweiler to draw the defense offsides, giving him a free play, takes the shot down the field, finds Will Fuller for a nice deep ball. That ends up leading to an Osweiler quarterback sneak touchdown after Casey Hayward is flagged for pass interference, putting the ball down at the 1-yard line. So a number of things happening there, but the biggest of them all, connecting on the deep ball, something that the Texans have lacked since early in the season when Will Fuller was healthy. So if they can get that element back into their offense and start stretching teams vertically, maybe it'll open up some more rushing lanes for Lamar Miller. Teams are starting to really come down into the box and try to stop him because they don't respect Osweiler's ability to throw the football, especially deep, and they don't respect the passing game of the Texans. So if they can start hitting a couple of those shots to Will Fuller, maybe it'll soften up some defenses and give them a little bit of space to operate and allow Lamar Miller to have some more room to operate around the line of scrimmage. You go to the first half dislikes for both teams. You go back to the Chargers. Josh Lambo missing a field goal at the end of the first half. It was a deep one. Not really going to kill him and beat him up for that, but You'd love to see him bang that one home in a dome. It was closed, so you got a controlled environment. You'd like to see Lambeau be able to bang it home. But again, like I said, it was a really deep field goal. I'm not going to kill him for missing that field goal. But again, opportunity for points. You'd like to get that, especially on the road against a team that hadn't lost up until this point at home. So you go to the Texans in their first half dislikes in this game. Quentin Demps biting on the double move, giving up the 52-yard touchdown. That's been one of the Achilles heels for this Houston Texans team, is giving up big plays, especially in that secondary. When they're not getting pressure, they're susceptible to giving it up. We saw a couple of defensive breakdowns over the last few weeks with this team, and this is no different. Demps just simply has to be more disciplined there. What's going to hurt you more? The 15-yard hook route or the 52-yard touchdown? You pick. You tell me which one's worse. And obviously, he trusted his eyes too much, and he didn't stay disciplined there, and gave up a big one. And I think that's one of those plays where you take that shot because you saw something on tape that allowed you to take that shot. And I think they saw something on tape that says, hey, these Texans corners and safeties, very aggressive. If we come at them with a double move, we can get them to bite. And it worked to perfection there. Demps giving up the 52-yard touchdown and allow the game to be knotted up at 7 apiece. You also go to the Osweiler interception, his first of the game, Casey Hayward. I talked about that already and how that interception was a really good play on the part of Hayward, but also Osweiler has to put that football more outside and not allow the defender to come in and make a play there. So a lot of that blame does go to Brock Osweiler. I thought he made a great play to escape the pocket under duress, but he can't make that poor decision and throw there. And even take a step further, he's an athletic guy. He could have run for about 6 or 7, maybe even 8 or 9 yards on that play if he decided to. Instead, he tried to make a play with his arm. No problem with that. Just make sure you make a better, more accurate throw. And he didn't, and he had to pay for it. And then the penalties. This is something that is uncharacteristic of this Texans team. They haven't been heavily penalized this season, but they were penalized a ton in the first half. And I've said this all the time, if you've been watching. If your game is officiated by Jeff Triplett and his crew, you just have to know that the yellow flags are going to come out and hit the ground. So you have to be a little bit more fine in your approach when you're checking a receiver. You can't allow your hands to get up to the face. They're going to call it. If you're rushing after the quarterback, hands can't get up to the face. They're going to call it. If you're an offensive player, you can't have the holding penalties. They're going to call it. They're not going to miss anything. And even things that aren't there, they're going to call those as well. So you just got to be a little bit more cognizant of who's calling your game, because you got to be a little bit more careful when Jeff Triplett and his crew is on the case. And so 9 penalties, 8 of them accepted on the Texans in the first half. That was a season high for them. And that, like I said, all of that came in the first half. 5 of them on the defensive side of the football, 3 of them on A.J. Boye, 1 negating an interception that he made. So, again, a number of penalties hurting the Texans in the first half of this game. You go to the second half and the lights in the second half of this game, and we go back to the Chargers. And Dwight Lowry had himself a whale of a second half. Starts with a forced fumble of Lamar Miller. Nice run from Miller. Gets into the secondary. This is going to be about a good 15 to 20, maybe even 22-yard run or so. Lowers the shoulder, and Lowry gets lower than him. Hits his arm as he's going down. Ball squirts out. It's initially ruled down by contact. They go back and look at it. It's a clear recovery by Williams, the safety for the Chargers, and Lowry forced it free. And so it was a big play there because the Texans looked like they were well on their way to points on that possession, and that fumble changed that possession and gave it to the Chargers. They would not do anything with the fumble, the turnover, but it did flip the field position and force the Texans to have to do it all over again. Phillip Rivers is on my likes list. I mean, he started the game off 10 of 11 for over 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was outstanding. There was one play where he escapes the pocket. I don't know how the hell he gets out, because we know Phillip Rivers has 2 left feet. But yet the pocket is crumbling around him. He's destined to get sacked on this play. Somehow he eludes two rushers, jumps over another, gets outside the pocket, and finds Dontrell Inman, who then takes a shot from Kareem Jackson, tack on another 15 more. That would lead to the Hunter Henry touchdown to really put this game on ice at 21-10. Rivers was outstanding in this game. If not for the one interception, he would have been clean in this ball game. I thought he did what it is he does week in, week out, and that's give this Chargers team a chance. I've said it before, I'll say it again till my face turns blue. Every single time number 17's under center, this Chargers team has a chance. I don't care who they're playing against. And he was outstanding in this game, and that's pretty much why they won, along with the defensive effort put forth and all the turnovers created. 4 to be exact in this game, 3 with the game in the balance, and the last one coming on a Hail Mary attempt. So the defense was outstanding. Anytime you hold a team to 13 points in this league, you're supposed to win. The defense did that, and the Chargers offense did enough to get the win on the road. Dwight Lowry with an interception. I talked about his big second half. It continues with this interception, and that was a big play there, setting the Chargers up in some great field position. So Dwight Lowry had a big second half for this Chargers defense. And then Joey Bosa, I thought he was outstanding in this game, constantly in the backfield. We saw the old problem from Ohio State crop up in college where he likes to jump off sides. That's just something you're going to have to deal with Joey Bosa. He's very aggressive on the snap, and so he's going to get called for offsides on that Will Fuller deep ball. He was offsides, and I thought he had a chance to be offsides a couple more times in the second half, but make no mistake about it, he was dominant in this game, especially in the run game. Had a half a sack with Damian Square on a one play. Joey Bosa was just all over the field. There was another play where on a third down, Osweiler escapes the pocket. He's going to pick up the first down on 3rd and 10, and Joey Bosa clips his ankles as he gets to the line of scrimmage, and so he only gained 1 yard on the play. If Bosa doesn't lay out and make that tackle, that's going to be a first down, and so Bosa was everywhere. He was huge in this game, and he was definitely on my likes list for the Chargers defense in this game. And then you go to the Texans second half likes. Quentin Demps with an interception of Phillip Rivers. It led to a 19-yard field goal, and that field goal just tells you all you need to know. You get to the 2-yard line, you got to find a way to get in the end zone. Texans got into the red zone there on that particular possession and just weren't able to get in the end zone. And so they had to settle for a field goal to make it 14-10. You want to win games, you got to get in the end zone. You know my mantra, you know my motto, field goals don't win games, touchdowns do. Texans failed to get in the end zone on that particular sequence of events, and they had to settle for 2 field goals. 1 touchdown, 2 field goals, not going to beat many teams in this league. That's for certain, and so that's one of those situations where you're glad they got the interception, gave you great field position. You'd like to see them capitalize with a touchdown there, not a field goal. You go to the second half dislikes for both teams. We go back to the Chargers. Only dislike is the Phillip Rivers interception, and it was a little bit of an overthrow, and Quentin Demps was the benefactor of that. Returns it into Chargers territory, sets up a field goal attempt. But other than that, the defense made plays. The offense did what they had to do to put themselves in a position to win. They really limited the turnovers. We know that's been a bugaboo for this Chargers team, is the turnovers in the second half of games. Well, they limited those to just the interception by Rivers, and they were able to get the W. You go to the Texans and their dislikes for the second half. Lamar Miller with the fumble. I talked about that already, but got to protect the football. That was a big run. You get about a good 15, 20, 25-yard run there on a chunk play. You got to hold on to the ball. You're in Chargers territory after this run if you're able to secure the football. Instead, you allowed Dwight Lowry to knock the football free and have it recovered by the Chargers, and that's a hurtful play, taking a scoring opportunity potentially off the scoreboard. And then Osweiler throws 2 more interceptions, the second of which came on a bad, egregious overthrow. I don't know if that ball just slipped or what, but it was just not a good throw by Osweiler. And it's picked off by Lowry, and the Chargers are able to get some good field position there. And then the final interception comes on a Hail Mary at the end of the game. He had to throw it up for grabs and give his guys a chance, and the Chargers were able to pick it off and put the game away. So another wasted attempt by the Texans to get a win. Thought they should have won on Monday night. Thought the referees had a lot to say in that outcome, but no excuses. Find a way to win. They had an opportunity here to win, and they just couldn't get it done. And so now, all of a sudden, you look up, and you're 6-6, and so are the Titans. And now this division is going to come down to the final what are we talking? Final 6 games of the season. Texans are 6-5. Excuse me. Titans are 6-6. Titans have their bye week this week. The final of the bye weeks. Cleveland and Tennessee both going to have a week 13 bye. So you got a half game cushion essentially on the Tennessee Titans now. And so it's coming down to the nitty gritty. You're going to have to find ways to make plays if you're the Houston Texans. This was a tough loss, tough bitter pill to swallow, but the Chargers are better than their record indicates. And it's a shame that looking at the Chargers and what they're capable of, that they're not going to make the postseason. Speaking of which, my banana in the tailpipe for the San Diego Chargers, I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe that you can make a run and get into the postseason at the end of the season. You've made too many mistakes. You've dug yourself too deep of a hole. There are too many teams ahead of you, too many teams that own tiebreakers over you because of the mistakes you've made this season. Too many games thrown away early on when you should have been stockpiling victories. Instead, you were stockpiling and stacking up losses. You just dug yourself too deep of a hole. Too many teams ahead of you to overcome the deficit that has now been created by all of the losses that you've had. You lost to the Dolphins. They own the tiebreaker over you. You split with the Broncos. You've just lost too many games to too many teams that you should have beaten. I mean, hell, even the Indianapolis Colts own a tiebreaker over you as they beat you in Indy earlier in the season when you should have won that game as well. Just too many teams that you're going to have to leapfrog. Too many things have to go in your favor and not in the favor of all these other teams for you to find a way into the postseason. It's hard to come to the realization that your season is done, but if you're a Chargers fan, you can hold out hope all you like, but you've done too much damage, irreparable damage at that, early in the season with those losses, blown leads at the end of games to make the postseason this year. And finally, banana in the tailpipe for the Houston Texans. Look, I still believe you're going to win this division, but you're going to have to play better football. I refuse to believe that this Texas team is not going to win this division. I know Tennessee is playing much better. They easily could have lost to Chicago on the road. Probably should have lost that football game in Chicago. The Indianapolis Colts just aren't consistent enough. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe that the Texans won't win this division, but I'm going to tell you this much. If you continue to struggle offensively, if Brock Osweiler is going to turn over, if Lamar Miller is going to turn it over, if you're not going to score more than 13 points, you're not going to win this division. But I refuse to fall for the banana in the tailpipe that says this Texans team isn't still going to represent the AFC South when it's all said and done winning this division. So with that being said, let's jump into some of your comments and wrap this thing up. Enrique Valencia says, are you finally off the Brock Osweiler train? I tried to save you earlier in the season that Brock stinks. No, I'm not off. It's his first season. I told you that I wasn't going to get off. Yes, he looks bad. I can't defend him looking bad, but so did Kirk Cousins when he got his first opportunity to play. It happens. He's a young quarterback. I'm going to give him more leeway, but he looks bad. I cannot deny that, but I'm going to give him time. I'm more patient than most because I know that it takes a lot longer for guys. Not everyone is going to evolve, just like I've been telling you about your receiver out there from Miami. Everyone doesn't mature at the same time. Everyone isn't going to come in and be ballers at the same time. You may see it in year one with one guy. You might not see it till year 3 with another. It's just how it happens in this league. Not everyone evolves and develops at the same rate. It's just like life. Not everyone matures at the same rate. Okay? One guy may get it at age 14. Another guy may get it at age 21. Another guy may not get it till age 40. It just happens that way. It's the same way with players and their development in this league. I'm not giving up on Brock yet. Craig Smith says, we always have to make it interesting at the end of games. Shaking my head. The only game is with every win, the more of a case of ownership we'll make for McCoy to be our coach moving forward. I think he's going to save his job. I really do. I think he's going to end up 8-8, possibly 9-7, and that's going to allow him to stick around for another year. And I know that's not music to Chargers fans' ears, but if you look at the way this team has lost games, you could make the case that it's not all his fault. You know, you got the Phillip Rivers 4-interception game versus the Dolphins where he implodes literally in the fourth quarter. You've got the Melvin Gordon 2-fumble game versus the Chargers. Or versus the Saints. I mean, there's so many meltdowns this season that you can look at and say, well, that's not Mike McCoy's fault. But I understand it's a culture thing, and I've talked to enough Chargers fans to understand that that they want McCoy gone because of the culture that has been ingrained in this football team and that losing mentality. I get it, I understand, but I think McCoy's going to be safe when it's all said and done. We'll see what happens this season. But in any event, that's going to do it for this breakdown on lockdown coverage. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room on the Louie Tee Network. Chargers get the win, get to 5-6 on the season, salvage what's left of their season. I still think they're too far gone to make a run at the postseason. Meanwhile, the Texans, they're coming eerily close to allowing things to slip through their fingers in this division, now dropping to 6-5 on the season with their second consecutive loss. They're going to have to get back on the horse quickly, because if they don't, the Titans are knocking right on their door, and they're on a bye week. So if they lose another game, they will be tied atop the AFC South with the Tennessee Titans, who they currently hold the tiebreaker over after beating them in Houston earlier in the season. But they got to go to Tennessee, and I don't know if they're going to be equipped with enough to get it done there, as the Titans are playing much better football. We'll see what happens in that division. But remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. I will see you a little bit later on. Next up on the docket is those very same Tennessee Titans on the road taking on the Chicago Bears. The Bears. I'll see you a little bit later on for that one. Have a good one.